Hello, everyone. You're watching Bandofla. This is the latest episode, episode number 62. I'm your host, Fevzi Hussein. Okay, we've got something quite different for you on this episode. We're going to delve into some local politics and cover an issue which is really infuriating a very active residents group in North London, actually in the London borough of Enfield. I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail. For our listeners all over the place, do bear with us. I think you will find this story of interest. I'm going to start off with some information about a hack. Loads of people seem to be into all sorts of different hacks. Lots of them are really good and actually work, and some of them are a bit of a waste of time. But I came across one hack which I'm going to share with you. For those of you who are into your vegetables and like to grow your own vegetables, isn't it so infuriating when you plant your veg and it starts to look healthy, it's growing, you're feeding it, you're watering it, it's getting loads of sunshine, and then it develops basically green fly and aphids take over the flowering parts and try to suck the life out of this young vegetable plant. Now, we like to grow tomatoes, peppers, and French beans. And this year we're doing some beetroot, and everything seems to be doing really well this year. And our trick, which we did, which is really working, is you get some water, put some garlic in there, some red pepper, and some vinegar, and some chili powder, and give it a mix. Leave it overnight so it ferments a little bit. Then put it in a spray bottle. And when you start to see the kind of insects building up on the plant, if you spray it, it will be an excellent natural deterrent. Now, as you know, as with anyone, when you see these hacks, you're initially quite sort of skeptical until you do it and it works, and you're like, "Wow, this is good." And to be fair, the veg growing in my mum's garden is looking probably as good as it's as ever done, as ever looked. So I would definitely recommend that hack for all you budding gardeners that are listening. Okay, so we said we were going to touch on some local politics. So I'm going to talk about an issue that has really been bugging residents, particularly on a road in North London in Palmer's Green, which is in the London borough of Enfield. The road in question is Dawlish Avenue. Now it's a lovely area, fairly quiet, or it was until some local changes have been made, which has seen massive amounts of traffic diverted onto that particular road, which has really upset residents. There's all sorts of safety concerns. Um, and despite the efforts of the local councillors, there's not really much being done. Indeed, from what I understand, the council's position is that unless something really bad happens, then they're not really inclined to put any sort of speed bumps or any speed restriction, traffic calming measures, which is that's not really good. You should really be focusing on prevention as opposed to being reactionary. So um, this is hopefully the council people will be listening to this podcast. But before we go into some of the issues, um, you're thinking Palmer's Green. I've heard of that. What's it famous for? Probably the answer is not much, but we did a little bit of research here on Bandofla and a couple of interesting facts that are linked to Palmer's Green. Those of you who are familiar with the quiz show, The Chase, Anne Hegarty, I believe, used to live in Palmer's Green. So some of you may have seen her previously walking around on green lanes. doing her daily shopping routine. But probably one of the most interesting facts that I found um, was in relation to the suffragettes and the triangle, which is on Green Lanes. People in Palmer's Green, many people in London will be familiar with this road. It runs all the way down to Haringey, runs up to Enfield. The Palmer's Green Triangle is the spot in June 1914 where a group of suffragettes attempted to hold a meeting to campaign for the right to vote. Now, according to the research that we read, a crowd of hostile men attempted to break up the meeting, and mounted police were called to restore order. The incident gained national press coverage, and 4 years later, for those of you who are up on your rights to vote history, the Representation of the People Act was passed, which gave some women the right to vote. So that's possibly one of the most interesting bits of information I found that's relevant to Palmer's Green. So let's get back to the campaign, because it is effectively a campaign. The residents on Dawlish Avenue, I have to say, are amazing. They've got together. There's these groups on WhatsApp. They've been recording evidence in terms of the awful levels of traffic. The volume is horrendous, particularly in the morning. You have huge heavy goods vehicles, skip carrying lorries, really traveling at speed. And, you know, I think we're fortunate that there hasn't been a really serious accident. So there has been representations made to the council. I think really all the residents are looking for is for some progress to be made. You know, even if something like speed bumps could be put in place, which would really wouldn't encourage, it would enforce a more responsible driving, because some of the driving that you see on the road is very reckless and high speed. So you know, that campaign is ongoing, and you know, I mean, the council leader, Nessil, is her name. Her surname escapes me. You know, we're really appealing for her to get involved, and we know that representations have been made to the relevant departments, but it is important that Nessil Çalışkan or Nessil Çalışkan gets involved and takes an interest in this. It seems that there's party politics being played at the expense of the residents, because Enfield is controlled by Labour, and the ward that Dawlish Avenue falls in is the Arnos Grove ward, which has two Tory councillors. So obviously there's going to be some politics at play there, but ultimately, you know, every resident in the London Borough of Enfield should have their case heard fairly. So this is an appeal to the council, really. Enfield, please do the right thing. Come and talk to the residents. Please listen to the councillors there, and let's get some progress on those traffic calming measures for Dawlish Avenue. Like I said, this is very local level politics, so do bear with us, listeners. There's, you know, when you think of the cuts, it is difficult for councils, because there has been so many cuts at central government level. So I don't, you know, I'm not going to be completely one-sided on this. There are massive challenges for councils in terms of managing budgets, but it seems, you know, that the quality of work that is undertaken by some councils, it leaves, you know, a lot of imagination, really, you know, in the eye, because there's been some waterworks done, some water repairs done on Dawlish Avenue, and I think the local water companies come out at least 3 times. Must have come at major cost, and each time it doesn't seem to have worked. The latest repairs have just been done, and already there seems to be evidence of water, even in this dry weather, of water seeping to the surface. And there already there's like a bit of a smell, which isn't pleasant for the residents. And just finally, even on the verge, the grass, it had grown, and I know it's been hot. When it rains, it does shoot up, but the grass was really, really long, and it was actually cut today after a number of residents complained, but then it wasn't collected, and there was all this grass everywhere. And there's a concern that that's going to just run towards the drains when it's going to rain, and it's going to cause flooding because we know it's going to rain really heavily, and there'll be thunderstorms in this heat, and the risk of flooding will be, very, very high and very real. So the residents of Dawlish Avenue have every right to feel disgruntled, and Bundofler is, we're happy to raise the campaign, and hopefully the council will respond positively. So that's the local politics part of this. My message to everyone on Dawlish Avenue, I do think you're all wonderful people. There's a collectivism on the road, and a warmth that really is wonderful to see. Everyone looks out for each other. A community spirit is brilliant. And together, I think this is a great example of how people come together and put pressure and campaign and hopefully get results. So take a leaf out of residents of Dawlish Avenue's book, people, if you want to get something done. So we're going to also touch on Windrush, because this year, on the 22nd of June, we saw the 75th anniversary of Windrush. And there's been lots of events, which has been brilliant to see. Lots of councils have been celebrating it. Lots of trade unions have been celebrating it. Employers have been celebrating it. And I think what I will say on the Windrush, I mean, I attended an unbelievable event that the Communication Workers Union organised in Birmingham. And I saw a theatre company called Rush. They're actually doing a production called A Joyous Jamaican Journey. It was absolutely brilliant. I think that they were in the Wolverhampton Grand last week. They're playing at the Hackney Empire this week, and I believe next week they're at the Wembley Arena. So their tickets are pretty much all sold out, and it shows you the journey, and there's a really clever educational message in terms of going all the way back to kind of transatlantic slavery, through to Windrush, and then how that journey evolved, in terms of the issues with housing, where there was posters on pubs that says no blacks, no Irish, and no dogs. And we know that the input of our friends, our brothers and sisters that came over from the West Indies, and predominantly in the health and transport sectors after the Second World War. If it wasn't for these people, that National Health Service, our transport sector, it would never have got even started. So we are in debt to the Windrush generation, and long may that recognition continue. And I won't go into the politics because I want to keep it positive. But I think the Home Secretary has got a bit of a front with her Windrush message, given that she rode back, or the government rode back on the Windrush recommendations that were made a few months ago. So it's important to remember Windrush, and I know that many people listening to this podcast will have direct family experience of being descendants from Windrush. So definitely important to acknowledge that. The other story we're going to touch on is really upsetting. Causes me it's really distressing news, actually. World Refugee Day was on the 20th of June. And I've touched on this quite a few times on Bundoff. I've been fortunate enough to go out to Calais and to Dunkirk and to work with charities that are supporting refugees. And it's a million miles from the rubbish that you hear on the telly in terms of people coming over. I thought the BBC Question Time show last week on Brexit, which was filmed down in Clacton, this is the problem, or this is certainly one of the problems. Some of the absolute nonsense that the comments that the audience were coming out with, Fiona Bruce just wasn't challenging them. And we've seen this all too long. We've been accommodating bullshit, absolute rubbish, statements that are completely false, designed to whip up fear and to scapegoat these very vulnerable people. And we saw it again on the BBC on Question Time, where some of the comments were just bizarre. But there's no other way to describe it. And I think those journalists who are not holding, those stories to account, I think they should be ashamed of themselves, because they are perpetuating the hostile environment. And we've actually moved on from the hostile environment, whatever the next level of fear is. That people are being removed now. It's a removal environment in that sense. I think there was a new term used. But World Refugee Day was the 20th of June, and one of the most tragic news stories that has hit the news in 2023 was the news around the refugees on the fishing boat. On the 10th of June, an aging fishing vehicle set off from Tobruk in Libya. It was destined for Italy. Reports from Reuters said that passengers paid $4,500 each for this passage to Italy. The capacity of the boat, I'm sure people have seen pictures of it. It was taken, pictures were taken by the Greek Coast Guard, aerial photographs. The boat was absolutely ram-packed. The capacity of this fishing boat is probably 20 to 30 max. They reckon there were 750 people on that boat. This is just staggering. We talk about safe passage. There needs to be safe passage for these people to get to wherever they need to get get away from the persecution that they're facing. So just on that trip alone, 750 people paying $4,500. My maths was never good, but I make that approximately just shy of $3.5 million that the human traffickers made on that one trip. There were women and children on that boat as well. The place where it sunk is possibly one of the deepest parts of the Mediterranean Sea. The depth of the sea is reportedly about 5 kilometers deep. So the reality is that many of those people who are still missing they will never be found. It's utterly tragic. It's devastatingly tragic. The majority of people on that boat were Pakistani, Syrian, Egyptian, and Libyans as well, I believe. It's words fail me. We can't carry on hearing of these stories. This has to stop. We've got to do something to help these people. That and the contrast with this story, there was very little media coverage of this, and that in itself is really disturbing because it's like, oh, it's not our problem. Let's keep it over there. Let's hear about other stuff, which I don't know. You know what the point I'm making, and some of the other stuff, which was making headlines at the same time. And, yes, it was equally tragic, but massively different circumstances, is the doomed voyage of Titan, which was something supposed to be like a little submarine. And I think five people, which included a father and son, extremely rich individuals. I believe the majority of them were billionaires, not millionaires, billionaires. They all paid £250,000 each for the opportunity to go deep sea, to experience deep sea tourism. And that mission, as we all know now, sadly ended in tragedy. But if we look at the news coverage, it was, in comparison to 750 people in a boat sinking, which wasn't even seaworthy. I think it's arguable that submarine Titan was, there's reports of it being, not going to say unsafe, but a number of people have since said, "Oh, I've been on it," and they lost communication after a few minutes going into the sea. So it's worrying. It's really worrying, and I think whatever your views are on immigration, immigration enriches our culture. My father came to the United Kingdom on a boat in 1961 as a refugee from Cyprus, and he came for a better life. Nothing wrong with that, and he's managed to contribute massively to society here. He's worked for many years, been a taxpayer, contributed to the state purse, and there's thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of migrants who have done likewise. And many of these people are skilled. Many of these people, have trades that we definitely have shortages. We already know that there's massive vacancies in the national health, so, and there's other skills shortages as well. So I really hope that I can't see the current government changing course on immigration. There's far too much hostile rhetoric going on, but when Labour win the next general election, hopefully we haven't gone so far over to the right that even Labour will struggle to kind of bring fairness to this situation. Time will tell. So I always like to touch on my favourite charities. I think as we get older, we like to give something back and help those people who are, less fortunate than us. Even people who, aren't, massively comfortable themselves. They find it in themselves to help other people, and that's so beautiful to see. So I mean, I've got the I'm proud to be associated with a number of charities. One such charity, which I've mentioned previously, is Our Forgotten Neighbours. These next two charities that I'm going to mention do a lot of brilliant work for homeless people here in the UK. Check out Our Forgotten Neighbours. They've got a brilliant magazine called The Hub, which I believe the latest edition is going to be available for sale very shortly. It might even be out now. Mandem called Chalmers, my good friend Stephen, he's heavily involved with that charity and dedicates so much of his time, along with his many other colleagues who do likewise. So do look out for Our Forgotten Neighbours, and if you can donate anything, every single penny goes a long way. They can often be seen outside Finsbury Park with a soup kitchen set up, giving food to homeless and vulnerable people. The second charity on our charity watch list is Street Kind UK, run by the amazing Yellies. For those of you on Facebook, you can go to Street Kind UK's page. They do amazing outreach, providing hot food, cold food, toiletries, drinking water. I think there was a barber as well that would rock up and cut people's hair and make them have a sense of pride. Now, Yellies is always looking for donations because the work they do is completely priceless. I've been on their outreach on the Strand in central London and seen firsthand the people who are living rough. I don't know what their stories are, but you could see they need our help. So please also have a look at Street Kind UK. Third charity I'm going to touch on, I'm a trustee of, so I'm a bit biased. CWUHA, it's a Communication Workers Union Humanitarian Aid. They do a lot of domestic charitable work and some international work as well. So do check out their charity. Remember, for all of the registered charities, every donation that you make sure you click the gift aid, because that bumps up the donation by 20%, and that's really valuable extra money for the charity. So do check out CWHA, brilliant work done by Carl Webb up in the northwest in the Manchester area. And my final plug is a project which I've plugged a few times, and it's the Shacklewell Lane Mosque in Dalston. Now, the mosque there, it's a famous building. It's a Rothschild building, I think built in 1903. Used to be a synagogue, converted to a mosque, I think in 1977. It's run by a remarkable gentleman by the name of Erkin Güney. Erkin is on a mission to bring the toilets up to date because they're not disabled friendly. And seeing the toilets myself, we've got the ball rolling on a campaign, and we're going to get those toilets fixed so that they're disabled friendly, because Erkin is keen to make sure that access to the mosque is as inclusive as possible. Now, we've already got donations coming in for that, which is amazing to see. I think someone's given £300 already, along with gift aid. But we're literally just waiting for the builder to confirm what the cost of doing that work will be. It will be at a very subsidised rate as well, we're hoping. So when we get that, a separate fundraising page will be set up. And, I know people have been asking me, Fevzi, when can we make a contribution to that? But just watch this space. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to go live on that. So 4 wonderful causes that I'm going to finish with. I think it's always good to finish on a positive. So on that note, I'm not going to talk about Arsenal because Arsenal fans are in a meltdown over whether Rice is going to join them or not. I don't know. He's probably going to go to Man City. I probably would if I was him. But anyway, I'm going to get Arsenal fans complaining now. Listen, you've been watching Bundoffler. This is episode 62. Do follow us. We're on YouTube. Search Bundoffler. Please subscribe. We don't have any monetizing, although YouTube have cheekily been putting in adverts on some of our shows, even though we've asked them to take them off. But we don't have any monetizing going on. And we are working with a company, a digital company. So I'm hoping that our episodes might be a little bit more pleasing on the eye, because there'll be some nice editing done. I won't reveal the details of that until the next episode. So yeah, do follow us on YouTube. We're on Twitter at _Bundoffler, BANDOFLA. You can see it behind my head. For those of you listening, that was BANDOFLA. And we're also on Spotify and all decent podcast platforms. If you have any questions or you want to send us any comments, you're all very welcome. We always welcome feedback. You can email me at podcastbundoffler@gmail.com. So until the next show, do keep cool. Summer has finally arrived, and it's important that you keep hydrated. Try not to stay out in the sun too long. If you do, make sure you've got your cream on. Keep safe, everyone. God bless.